Welcome to the Mordork podcast, where you can't simply walk into Mordor, but you can simply listen to the Mordorks. How much is that open?
Hey, we're back! We're live! We're on video!
Oh yeah, and
It's been several weeks since you've last seen us.
I didn't know we were doing video, so I didn't do anything.
He didn't do his hair, guys.
Yeah, my hair is.
He didn't go get his perm like he usually does.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're doing video because I got a new camera. We might do this whenever we are actually together, so who cares? But we just saw Jason Bourne. It was pretty good, right? Or is it? Who knows?
Dun dun dun.
But first we got a lot of news to cover because there's been a lot of stuff dumped on us this past week, including a lot of stuff that happened Saturday right after we recorded our last video, so we got a lot to go over. So, without further ado, let's talk about some news.
Okay, I'm ecstatic about the news. Ecstatic.
Okay, so Wonder Woman, the new movie that is coming out, has had a trailer released, and it looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
Did we talk about this?
You and I spoke about it in our free time, but not on camera.
Okay, I just had a weird brain fart moment where I couldn't remember if we had talked about this. Anyways, guys, we saw it and it was pretty cool. Of the two trailers that DC released this week, that was my favorite. It was really cool. They're going for a real World War I. It's a lot like Captain America, honestly.
Yeah, I think having seen the trailer, I definitely think it was a wise move to make it take place during World War I as opposed to World War II.
Yeah.
To kind of give some distinction between it and Captain America.
Yeah.
Or further distinction, I should say.
Yeah, but let's be honest. The average American citizen assumes that they're both the same war. That's
really...
Yeah.
Don't get me started on that.
But it was really cool. Chris Pine is in it. He looks pretty cool. There's a lot of speculation that the main villain in this movie is going to be Ares, the god of war, which kind of makes sense.
Yeah,
this was the biggest war ever. I mean, we might even see him in a disguised form in this trailer. But of course, that's still speculation. We really don't know, other than the trailer, what this movie's about. So there's a lot still to uncover there. But did you like the trailer? Do you think it was pretty good?
Yeah, I thought it was really good.
Yeah, her doing her thing with the sword and the shield and the whatnot.
Yeah, that woman sure was wondering.
Wonderful. That's a word.
Yeah, but that made too much sense.
Also, yes, DC's released their Justice League trailer, which I wasn't expecting to see so soon.
Neither was I.
But we have it, and we got it. It's there.
I actually think the trailer looks decent. It's just that there are two things about it.
Yeah.
One, every time I see it, I'm like, oh, okay, this kind of looks like it might be decent. Then, alarms start going off in my head, and it's like, Zack Snyder's directing it. Zack Snyder's directing it.
Yeah.
And I haven't really liked what he's done with the DC universe so far. In fact, as the running joke on the show goes, I have to make fun of Batman vs Superman every week. So
yeah, I'll do the Batman face.
So yeah, Batman vs Superman wasn't very good. Wasn't very good in my opinion, and it definitely split audiences. So it wasn't the success it should have been. So that kind of tempers my excitement. It's kind of I can't get too excited about it because I kind of am worried he's doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Also, sorry, my phone isn't going off.
Turn off your phones. Don't ruin the movie, Carson.
Sorry, my phone was dead and I'm charging it and it turned back on and I didn't realize.
What you were saying.
But anyway, and then this isn't really so much of a complaint, so to speak. It's just something that to me really popped out during the trailer.
Yeah.
It really seems that with Flash in this movie, just based on what we saw of him in the trailer, it just seemed really obvious to me that or at least it appeared to me that they were trying to copy Quicksilver from the Fox X-Men movies.
With the slow-down animation in that?
Well, not just the slow-down animation. I mean, they're doing that, but something about his personality. He came across as he would be the comic relief character, and something about the little quirks that the actor did with his face and his voice. It kind of seemed like they were really trying to capture that same thing.
You won't get this, but that guy, his performance, it reminded me a lot of Danny Pudi in Community. He acts just like that. If you guys have seen Community, tell me I'm not making that up. Yeah, I didn't... Okay, here's the thing. Here's the deal, guys. I didn't super like this trailer, and it probably is just because of my opinions of the last two movies are heavily influencing this. But as...
Kind of the Zack Snyder is directed, so you can't get too excited mentality.
Yeah, but objectively, I still didn't think it just felt right. It felt like it was trying too hard in a lot of places, which I'm kind of afraid is what they're going to do. You know, because there was a lot of backlash from the last two movies, they're just going to keep trying too hard and just keep digging themselves deeper and deeper down.
Yeah, we've got Suicide Squad next week, and maybe we'll have like a movie that everybody, or at least most people, can agree was a solid entry. But
well, I think if Zack Snyder's involved, this is just going to keep getting worse. But I hope I'm wrong. I really do. Because otherwise, it could be really good. You know.
I saw the. I mean, most of the time whenever I'm making fun of Batman vs. Superman on the show, it's just for the running joke. I mean, sometimes I probably do come across like a little too serious whenever I'm doing it, but I am actually doing it as a joke, even though I did really dislike that movie. Yeah. But, I don't know, I saw something, a video on it the other night, in fact last night, and it seemed to sum up what Zack Snyder and DC's problems have been in this movie really easily. It's that Zack Snyder and DC, and since he has pretty much controlled the DC cinematic universe up to this point, the DC universe has been focused on creating moments without creating scenes. Right, yeah. Like, moments are like those really cool, like, you know, the trailer shots. The things that stick in your head, but without creating scenes, without building the world and the characters in a meaningful way, those moments fall hollow. As opposed to a movie that has fewer moments, but because it takes time to build its world and draw you into it, and those moments that that a film that really draws you in has are much more impactful. Yeah, like I said, I wasn't super, you know, I was a little bit mistrusting of this trailer, but I hope I'm wrong. Maybe I am. I want it to be good. Like, I don't want anything to fail because I want to get good movies. Yeah. And I don't hate Zack Snyder. Like, I hate some of his work, but I don't hate him as a person. And so I want him to make a legitimately great movie. And if he does, I will be the first one to acknowledge it. Well, probably not the first, because there are people who get their videos out quicker than us, but I will acknowledge it, and I will say it happily. Yeah. Not begrudgingly.
Yeah, so who knows? But there was another trailer released at Comic-Con pertaining to superheroes, and that was Doctor Strange.
Oh, I thought you were going to go with the Lego Batman trailer. Because that trailer was awesome. Too.
I did just see that one. I was really into that. But no, Doctor Strange trailer 2 got released. We got a little bit more insight into the movie. We see Mads Mikkelsen's character a little bit more. He actually says things. And we get to see Tilda Swinton more as the Ancient One, who I'm still liking her as that. And it reminds you that it's going to be a lot different from any other MCU movie we've seen, I think. I think it's going to be much more different, you know?
Yeah, which is good. You know, it's good to shake it up, especially whenever the MCU has been running this long. I love just how trippy it looks. I know, like the weird imagery that they're using.
It's like the buildings are like folding in on each other, and it's just...
I love that, because it's just like so different from like what we've seen before in the
And MCU. It's actually legit magic, not science that you call magic, you know?
Like it's like 100%. Like, no pretensions about it. It's
crazy Jack Kirby, weird psychedelic imagery magic.
Yeah, and then Benedict Cumberbatch continues to look great as the good Doctor. I mean, Benedict Cumberbatch is a great actor, so, you know, I never really had any doubt, but, like, just seeing him in the costume throughout the trailer and just, like, the special effects around him, it was just like, that's a live-action Doctor Strange.
I know, which is something I didn't think we'd ever see in my lifetime. But, so that looked pretty good. Everyone was happy with that. More Marvel news, though. Brie Larson has officially been cast as Captain Marvel.
Yay.
I don't really know who Brie Larson is. Do you?
I mean, I'm familiar with some of her work, and I think she'll make a good Captain Marvel. So
yeah, I mean, I haven't. Yeah.
And then again, Marvel has done an amazing job casting its leads. So,
yeah, it really has. So
at this point, I'm almost why we
Yeah.
could almost just not even pay attention to the casting news, just show because they're gonna get it right.
Yeah, well, I'm not really super familiar with the Captain Marvel phase of Carol Danvers' career.
Yeah, I'm
I know her
personally
more as Warbird or Ms. Marvel.
Yeah, that's more where I'm at, just because.
But I mean, it looks like it's gonna be cool. You think we'll see Marvel in this movie? You think they'll stick with the old origin or give her a new one?
I'd say they'll probably take elements of the old one, but then kind of use it in new ways.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I don't think it would be a page for page recreation of it.
Yeah. You think we'll see some blue people? Some blue creeds?
I mean, we've seen some blue people in other Marvel movies.
There's a lot of blue people in comic books. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, it's a default color.
It's
although it's more of a default color for mutants.
Yeah, that's true.
So
blue.
And we can't discuss those in the MCU.
Mutants don't exist! Blech. Just kidding. Alright, potential spoilers for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, although James Gunn just said in a Facebook post that they're not spoilers.
Oh.
Keeping in mind that they're going to be revealed probably in the first trailer anyways.
Yeah.
That being said, if you're really touchy about this kind of stuff, I wouldn't listen.
Skip a few minutes ahead.
Yeah, but Kurt Russell, as we all know, has been cast in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And it turns out he has been cast as a character none other than Ego the Living Planet. And not only that, but he's also Peter Quill's father. So, okay, that's it. That's all the spoiler, potentially. But that's kind of an odd choice, don't you think?
Yeah, it's...
Do you know anything about this character?
Yeah, a little bit. And it's just kind of weird to think that he is Peter Quill's father.
I'm going to be interested to see how they explain all that, because Peter Quill's mother was just a normal human,
Yeah.
So it's going to be weird.
Yeah.
But James Gunn said that first of all, he will be playing a big central role in this movie. And he said that the way he was able to make people care about and sort of humanize Rocket Raccoon, he's doing the same thing for this guy in this movie. So.
Well, I'm wondering if they're going to do something maybe he wasn't always the living planet. I mean, otherwise, how does the whole pregnancy, getting her pregnant? I mean,
maybe it was a force thing, like midichlorians did it. Midichlorians did it. Those
midichlorians.
That's just the answer they go with in the movie. It was midichlorians, guys.
Honestly,
go with it.
I could actually see.
They could do that,
Well, no. It wouldn't make sense because I was gonna say I could see Star-Lord saying that.
But he doesn't know about the rules.
Yeah. He's lucky like that.
Yeah.
But then again, he also hasn't seen episode 7, so
he's missed out so much. But yeah, so we're gonna get to see Ego the Living Planet on screen. That is definitely something I never thought I'd say in my lifetime. So pretty cool there. I'm all for that. But that's not all. Lastly, in the superhero category, we got a look at Superman from Supergirl Season 2. All dressed up in his duds. It's Tyler, I think his name is pronounced Herklin, Tyler Herklin. And we have only known, that he's going to play him. But now we actually see him. And there's mixed feelings about the way he looks, because his costume, it looks kind of like the Man of Steel one, but it's made to be bulkier looking, but it's clearly not the guy inside. So it's kind of plastery looking.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah. It's not going to be a huge thing. Yeah.
And, it's Supergirl's show, so,
Yeah. We're probably not going to see him much that anyways. But yeah, I am looking forward to seeing a better Superman. So, more trailers though. Kong Skull Island had its first trailer released. Have you seen this one?
I have not. I'm just not that interested in it.
Yeah, personally. It's more of a, I guess this is more of a me thing, but this new reboot of King Kong that's coming out to specifically set up King Kong versus Godzilla. It's like kind of I think Apocalypse Now meets
King Kong?
Anaconda. Yeah, King Kong. It's like a Vietnam era sort of movie, so it looks pretty cool, and of course King Kong is shown in it just a little bit, and he's of course gigantic, so it'll be interesting to see how that turns out. Just a couple other things here. The Blair Witch is a movie that is coming out now.
Yeah, I would not have expected that.
Me neither, but they're going way back to 1999, doing the whole minimalistic video camera in the forest thing. None of this paranormal activity, special effects. They're going right back to their roots, which, okay.
I mean,
the thing about it though is that back in 1999, this was cool because it was new. Now it's been done just so much. I feel like no one's going to care about this.
Yeah, I kind of.
But that being said, Blair Witch was one of the first horror movies I ever saw.
And honestly, I still think that I still appreciate it and actually think that it was scarier than a lot of the found footage movies because the scares from it came not from things jumping out at you, but from more of an atmosphere, a creepy atmosphere, and an uncertainty, and not seeing a lot.
Yeah.
And I actually think that scary atmospheres are, in my opinion, create better horror than just things jumping out at you.
Yeah.
Because that's something where it's like you're scared for a minute, see something weird, scared for an instant.
Yeah.
Successfully create a weird and spooky atmosphere, and that can stay with you longer after the film.
Yeah.
So I still think it's one of the better found footage movies. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of horror movies just because I think a lot of them are the same.
Yeah, they're pretty derivative of one another, a lot of them.
And and a lot of the things that I like in movies, like plot and characters, aren't generally in heavy supply in horror movies.
Most of them, yeah.
But there are exceptions.
Yeah.
And I did enjoy the first Blair Witch Project. So.
Are you gonna go see this one?
I mean, probably not.
If I knock you out and drag you to the theater and you wake up in the theater, will you get up and leave?
No.
Okay.
That'd be like one of those movies where I'm not going to go and see it by myself. I'm not going to go and invite people to go see it with me. But if somebody were to invite me to go see it, I'd be fine with it. I'd tag along.
Yeah. Alright, well, the last trailer I have written down here, and the last piece of news, is a new trailer for the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them movie. Got shown. This is, of course, a sort of a prequel to the Harry Potter franchise. It takes place in America, kind of shows what all their things are, It has very little to do with Harry Potter, this movie, and it looks like the movie's not going to be relying too heavily on the whole Harry Potter, love. It's kind of just going to be its new thing, and I think that's probably a good idea.
If you rely on the love of, if you have to rely on love of past movies to make your movie good and relevant, then it's kind of failed. Yeah.
So I'm excited to see this movie. I like the Harry Potter movies a lot. But I think it'll maybe be good. Who knows? Who knows?
Who knows?
I got you.
Reference?
Do you have anything you'd like to add before we go on to the other thing?
No, we've been on news for a while now.
Yeah. Okay, so that brings us to Jason Bourne, the movie we just saw.
Officially the 5th movie to bear the Bourne name, and the 4th one with Matt Damon and with Jason Bourne actually in it.
The 5th movie that is Bourne.
Just
Bourne. So how this is going to work, guys, is we're going to start off with very general what we thought of the movie, no spoilers, and then we're going to go into spoiler territory and talk about just stuff we thought was cool and stuff we didn't think was cool. So first off, I guess I'll start and say I really thought this was a good movie. It was basically all the action you would expect from a Jason Bourne movie. The director's Paul Greengrass, the same guy who did 2 and 3. A lot of good stuff there. Matt Damon, he's being Jason Bourne, he falls right back into the character, which is pretty cool after like 9 years or something. So, and the story, I thought, they left it open for a possible sequel. And I don't know if they actually want to do a sequel or not, but if they wanted to, they definitely could go somewhere with it. So, that being said, though, it did kind of drag in some places for me. It kind of was like, I don't know. It's weird to say about an action movie that it was slow in some places, but it felt like the story was kind of treading water in certain places. But it wasn't enough to really mess it up for me. So I would definitely go see this again. That's my rating of either I wouldn't or I would, and I would go see this again. So.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, let's get the obvious out of the way. This was leaps and bounds better than the Bourne Legacy. I don't like the Bourne Legacy. I like Jeremy Renner, but as an actor, but in that movie and in that whole movie in general, like it had some decent ideas, but execution it just failed completely for me. But I loved the first 3 Bourne movies, and so I was looking forward to this one, and it kind of met my expectations. I kind of went in expecting this to not be quite as good as the first 3, to kind of hit some of the same points as the previous movies and kind of... I don't think I'm spoiling anything whenever I say it's basically Jason Bourne once again. The CIA is after him.
Yeah.
He's trying to avoid them while also finding information while trying to bring down somebody, one of the heads of the CIA.
Yeah, it really retreads a lot of stuff there.
So I kind of would have liked to see a little bit more new, but I still feel like this was a really solid movie overall. I like the Bourne movies, like I said, and so there was a lot to really enjoy as a fan of these films and this franchise.
Mm-hmm.
I also didn't really... I can't really talk about this too much without getting into spoilers, but there was something about this movie where I didn't feel quite as invested in Jason Bourne as a character this time around as I have in the past. Like, just ever so slightly less invested.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of new characters being introduced that kind of felt like they were taking the spotlight in some places.
Yeah, and, well, there was kind of some other things.
It didn't feel like it was told from, like, his point of view.
Yeah. Like, I'm trying not to talk about it too much because I want to say more of the specifics for the spoilers.
But I definitely agree with that, It feels like it's not as much, like, his story. It's more like
and he doesn't really... Even though he has a goal in the story, he doesn't really grow in the story. Like, I can explain what I mean by that more in the spoiler section.
Yeah.
But, I thought the action and setup in a lot of places was really good. I really liked the final third. Like, like, pretty much, I don't even want to say where they go for the final third, even though it was in the trailer. I don't want to spoil, like, the order of events, so...
Okay.
But, I don't know, whenever they're, like, gearing up for, like, all the players are, like, making their move, the board is set and they're all starting to make their moves. Like, I was, like, really invested in at that point. I thought the action continued to be solid. I talk bad about shaky cam a lot, and in fact that was my main problem with Star Trek Beyond. But somehow Paul Greengrass, whenever he does it, it doesn't bother me. Somehow, I was talking to Aaron after this movie, and it's like, he uses shaky cam, but normally whenever it annoys me, it's because it's being used to cover up the action. It makes it hard to follow, like in Star Trek Beyond, it made it hard to follow. And it feels like it's being used to cover up the fact that either they couldn't find a way to make it seem realistic that one guy could take out all these other guys so easily, or they just bad choreography in general, bad fight choreography in general. But with Paul Greengrass, there's something about the way he uses it where even though it's cutting a lot and shaking a lot, it's like I still can tell exactly what's happening, and it feels less like it's trying to cover up faults and more like it is a visual representation of the chaos of the fight.
Yeah.
And so for some reason it didn't really bother me in this movie, and it doesn't really bother me throughout the franchise. And this is like the one exception I can think of at the moment.
Yeah.
To that.
So it was,
So yeah, I thought the action was solid. I do still like Jason Bourne's character, even though I wasn't quite as invested. I still, I still wanted to see what would happen. I still wanted to see what information he would uncover and if he would succeed.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I enjoyed this. I'd probably go see it again. This is probably one of those movies where, once again, I probably wouldn't be the one to say, hey, let's go see Jason Bourne again. But if somebody else said it, I'd be like, yeah, let's go see it.
If I knocked you out and dragged you into the theater and then you woke up in the middle of the movie, you wouldn't get up and leave.
Right. Well,
that's the best. That's the best thing you could say about it.
If it was in the middle of the movie, I might, because I have this thing where I really hate watching movies halfway through.
Yeah.
But if I woke up at the beginning of the movie, right as it were starting, then yeah, I'd stay for the whole thing.
If you woke up in the middle of the movie and you had to saw your own leg off to be able to leave, would you still leave?
No.
Because that's the best compliment you can give a movie, is that you wouldn't saw your own leg off to not watch it.
We're talking less and less about the film. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we get to the spoiler section?
Nope. So, guys, if you think it's cool, then go see it.
Wait. Maybe we should say, who we think this movie would be for, who would enjoy it.
Do you like Jason Bourne? You'll probably like this movie.
Yeah.
Do you like...
That's pretty much it. If you don't like the other Jason Bourne films...
Yeah. So you better change your mind.
Yeah.
If you like Bourne Legacy, you will love this movie.
If you're kind of on the fence with Jason Bourne movies, which I don't really know that many people who are, I could honestly see this movie going either way.
Yeah.
And so, if you're really on the fence...
Yeah.
With the franchise, but then I'd still kind of say, well, maybe it's still worth going to see if you have the money to spend, just so you can decide for yourself.
Like us, we got lots of money to spend. We making it rain.
See all this in cash that we don't have?
Yeah, so, alright, do you want to talk spoilers?
Yeah.
Alright, let's talk spoilers, so the rest of you guys go away.
I feel like I should kind of start the spoilers by just kind of going over why I felt like...
why you didn't think he was
why I didn't feel quite as invested
Yeah.
with Jason this
time.
What
was that, Carson?
Well, I think that you nailed half of it. The fact that it wasn't... At times it didn't feel like his story.
Yeah.
And it didn't feel like the focus was on him. Mm-hmm. Speaking of which, I think I leaned out of camera for a second. But, so I think that was a part of it. Something else that just kind of bugged me was just that I didn't feel like he grew, as a character.
Yeah.
In the first movie and second and third, I feel like he's developing, he's growing, and he's having to, throughout the original trilogy, accept learn what he is, then accept what he is, what he's done, and then try to find a way to atone with it. That's kind of how I see his character arc through that. With this one, it opens with this really, really, what I think is a really great idea, because it's kind of something that I think is really human. It's kind of he has trained his whole life for this. It was his whole life. Mm-hmm. Well, maybe I shouldn't say his whole life, but it was his whole adult life. This was a huge part of him, and so now he's kind of trapped, wondering what his purpose is.
Yeah.
He's kind of just existing without living. Which I think is a really interesting idea, somebody who's been fighting that fight for so long, how does he go to a normal life?
Yeah.
And he can't because...
But it feels like he doesn't ever change from that,
But the thing is, that's kind of seems to be a running theme, what is his purpose?
Yeah.
He doesn't know because he's, at the beginning of the movie, he starts out living without a purpose, he's just existing. They bring it up several times, he's living without a purpose, without the program, or without the purpose of taking it down.
Yeah.
So they think that maybe they could lure him back into the CIA. Yeah. And so it's brought up several times, so that's the thing. But at the end of the movie, it's kind of well, what's his purpose? He gained a purpose temporarily throughout the movie, but by the end of the movie, he's accomplished his goal.
Yeah.
So now what's to stop him from falling back into that little funk?
Yeah.
What's what's now that he accomplished his goal in this movie? What's to prevent him from becoming purposeless again?
Yeah, like
I felt like they should have tried to do something where it felt like he would grow as a character and kind of like really find an answer. And I didn't really feel like he did. I felt like he kind of got distracted from it by like trying to take on Tommy Lee Jones and discover the truth, discover more truth about Treadstone.
And I feel like it should have ended better because the girl who we're assuming is going to take over as director,
or at least have a prominent role within the CIA.
Yeah, she's like, yeah, come back to us, you can trust me. And then it turns out, well, you can't trust her. So it's just like, we're back doing the same thing, It's
I thought that they were at least going to leave it open where he could come back to the CIA.
Because that would be cool. See Jason Bourne with the CIA.
And then that would also be something really different. Yeah. And it would open up storytelling opportunities.
Yeah. But they didn't do that.
Because nobody in the CIA is going to really trust him. So that's going to open up conflict within the agency.
Yeah, I just don't see why they didn't go with that.
Yeah, but then they immediately undercut that by showing that Jason Bourne knew that she was willing to betray him and just using him to get more power for herself.
So that was disappointing.
And so, now it's okay, so now he's not working for the CIA. His goal for this film has been accomplished. He hasn't really grown in a way where I feel like he really knows what his purpose in life is now. So it feels like now he's back at where he was at the beginning of the movie. And I kind of feel like that has a lot to do with why I wasn't quite as invested this time.
Yeah, maybe he'll just go back to floating in the ocean. It's kind of his thing before, Just go back there and wait for someone to fish him up again. Start all over again.
I did think the information he was looking for was interesting.
Yeah, we get to see his dad in this, which I don't think we'd seen before.
I feel like it was kind of weird, just saying, oh, by the way, your dad was a section chief, and
by the way, your dad's kind of the whole thing,
Yeah, it was kind of weird, because I don't think we've ever, because
we never really
there was no setup for it. We never really heard about his parents. But I did kind of think it was an interesting way to go, and it does definitely give him a reason to go on this mission.
Yeah, it made him invested at least.
Because basically he learns that it wasn't that his father was murdered. He knew that, but he had always believed it had been by terrorists, and now he finds out that his father's death had something to do with Treadstone.
Yeah, and I think making that guy, the bad guy, the guy who killed his father, still there, And also, the bad guy also had a reason to hate Bourne.
Yeah, there were very personal reasons.
So that was cool. They just didn't have a lot of on-screen time together, except for the part where they were trying to kill each other, so, we didn't really get to see them be characters, but,
I do kind of feel like this movie did, copy beats a little bit too much from the first movie. Which the first trilogy even, it copied a lot within itself. Yeah. But, because they were all about Jason Bourne trying to find more information on Treadstone and his relationship to it, or Blackbriar and Ultimatum. But the Black Ops, his connection to it, while trying to outrun the CIA and take down somebody who was involved with the illegal Black Ops. And I feel like that was okay for the first three, but I kind of feel like with this fourth one, that concept is kind of starting to wear thin.
Yeah, well, it's just been copied so much by other movies.
I mean, it copied itself several times, and now has been copied so much by other films. Yeah. And now it's
But, here's something that I thought was kind of interesting that was new that they tried to kind of push in there, too. And it was a bit on the nose, I thought, but this is a kind of a totally different decade than it was back when he was doing his thing 10 years ago. So now there's all this new technology and all that stuff is going on. They have that Steve Jobs type character in this movie.
Yeah, there's a Steve Jobs type character who is basically started out working with the CIA and was basically hey, all my users, I'm going to give you all their personal information so that you can track them. It's the NSA jokes come to life.
Yeah, pretty much.
But then, whenever they're about to go through with it, the Steve Jobs type, the guy who, as you put it, the guy who invented this app.
Deep Dream?
Yeah.
It was like a social media thing.
It was like
it's just a nebulous
It didn't really go
thing.
into it, but
Yeah.
I think you referred
It was
to it
clearly
as an
written
app.
by a person in their 60s who didn't really understand the kids these days.
It was written by the director.
Oh, really?
And somebody else. I forget who the other writer was.
Yeah,
but,
he's just like, what are you kids doing with your tech geniuses?
yeah, and he starts to get cold feet.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting to kind of like make it about like personal information, and I always think that like anytime like a work like brings up security versus freedom, like I'm always interested.
Yeah, well that resonates a lot with people.
Yeah, it's very relevant. But that's something else that's kind of been done by other movies. I mean, even Captain America Winter Soldier was kind of about that. I mean, it just wasn't about like computer information, it was about floating guns in the sky.
Yeah.
I mean,
basically the same thing.
But it's the same concept, freedom versus security, and even Spectre did.
Oh yeah.
So it's not something incredibly new, but it's in general, but it's new to this particular series.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think that that's an interesting concept to discuss in pretty much any form. And so I kind of liked it.
Yeah, I think that's kind of hitting on sort of something a problem I may have had with this movie being like existing now, is because it has been so long since the Bourne movies. I kind of feel like they don't really have a place anymore.
Yeah, like
I feel like they can't change enough to make it to matter anymore.
Like it. I was about to say this, but I kind of got off on a ramble and stopped. But I was about to say, but then again, I kind of point out how it's kind of like copying itself and hitting the same beats. But then again, would it feel like a Bourne movie if it didn't? Like,
yeah, that's the thing.
Like if let's just say it was completely different. Like the CIA wasn't hunting him. He like ran into he got involved with a terrorist cell or something.
Yeah.
He was trying to take out his terrorist cell on his own. Like, would that feel like a Jason Bourne movie, or would that just feel like a Matt Damon action movie?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I feel like it just doesn't really have a place anymore. So many movies have done... Because, like, back when Bourne first came out, it had a very specific purpose to be a cool action movie that really updated the whole sort of action feel.
And it was thoughtful. Like, that's something that I like about the Bourne movies and even this movie. Like, even though I didn't think it was quite as good, it wasn't just, blow up stuff, explosions, guns, it has a plot, and it has espionage, and it's kind of like the thinking man's action.
Man's action movie.
That's probably going a little too far, but it has a lot more thought put into its story than most action movies, I'd say.
Yeah,
that's something I like, and I think that carries over into this.
Yeah, I just don't know. Like, okay, I think what I was saying about they leaving it open for a sequel, I think, because they mentioned there's something that, what was her name? The girl from the last 3 movies, she ends up getting killed, but she says there was this new program called...
Iron Hand.
I was going to say Iron Fist?
Iron Hand.
Iron Hand.
Iron Hand was tied into the Deep Dream.
Yeah, so are they going to do something with that?
I kind of feel like
because they said it wasn't operational. They said it wasn't operational, so...
But then she said that she could, talk him into at least not exploiting them.
Yeah, something like that. So I don't know. They could leave it open for a sequel, but I just don't think they should.
Well, here's the thing, though. I feel like they should because of what I was talking about, because we've just left Jason Bourne where he feels because, like I said, he starts out purposeless, he gains a short-term goal, accomplishes it. Now I kind of feel like he's purposeless again, and that's not where I really want to leave the main character of the series.
Yeah.
At least not in this case. Like, in some series that might work, but I don't. But in this one, I'm just kind of like, well, I was okay with leaving it ambiguous at the end of Ultimatum, but now that you've actually given me, an answer, now I kind of, or you've kind of shown me what happens next. I feel like you need to show me more because it's not left in a great place.
Yeah, I don't know. I just I feel like if they do make a sequel, they should definitely do something to at least finish his storyline in some way, or at least make him change enough to say, okay, let's just leave him there. I don't want to see this again.
Yeah, we don't want this to turn into the MCU.
Right. Or like the Fast and Furious movies. Let's not do that happen.
Honestly, if this movie had if his character arc throughout this movie had felt more like an arc instead of a circle.
Yeah.
Like, I would be totally fine with them ending it here. In fact, I was totally fine with them ending it after Ultimatum. Like, even though I kind of was like, ooh, it would be really cool if they did another Bourne movie. Because I like the Bourne movies. It's kind of like, yeah, but from a storytelling perspective, that's a good place to end it.
Which makes me kind of wonder, should they have even made this movie?
Yeah, it's weird, because we both said we liked this movie, but now we're, like, pointing out all the faults throughout the spoiler.
Maybe, I don't know. I'm still getting used to my rating system, but my simple rating system of whether I would go see it or not. I don't know. You know, it's like, I just feel like maybe they shouldn't have done it. They shouldn't have opened that can of worms.
It didn't have a purpose, but yet it also didn't, because it didn't, like, do anything that absolutely needed to be done. I mean, we've already talked about how, like, the whole father plot, like him... the mysterious circumstances surrounding his father, like, it wasn't set up in the previous movies, so it didn't feel, so it just kind of felt random. Tacked on.
Tacked on.
But yet this movie didn't feel like it was absolutely setting up sequels, like, something like Episode 7, like, I love Episode 7 of Star Wars, but obviously that was clearly made to both be a good movie in its own right, but also to set up sequels, you know, because there are, like, plot threads that are left dangling.
Mm-hmm.
Like, with this one, with Jason Bourne, I don't necessarily see them even trying to set up a sequel. Like, they leave it open without, like, necessarily, like, setting up, like, a whole new story arc.
But like I said, I don't know. It's like, it's a good action movie. It's a good Bourne movie. It's just, I don't think it really needs to be there, you know?
Yeah.
It really doesn't need to exist.
Yeah, but...
Which is kind of a mean thing to say about a movie, but it's like, it really doesn't, you know? I would have been fine with it ending at Ultimatum.
I actually think that Ultimatum, even though I enjoyed this movie, I think Ultimatum, from a story and character perspective, would have been a better place to end it.
Exactly. And they just keep trying to bring it back, you know? Because they did that with Legacy, you know?
Legacy, I actually feel like it was a better concept than this one.
Like a different guy,
It was like showing it was a different guy and a different I think it was a different Black Ops program, but but because of Jason Bourne's action, it was basically showing the fallout of Jason Bourne's actions on another agent. Like, that was the concept. I think that's a really interesting concept because it's kind of like it's more of a spin-off. And it does have a different character, and that opens up like a whole new character arc, whole new relationships and settings. I just feel like they didn't do anything with that They took an interesting concept and didn't.
They just tried to do Bourne again, basically. The exact same thing, which is kind of a theme here, I guess, you know? Repeating the same formula.
Yeah, but like I said, like with Identity, Supremacy, and Ultimatum, like there were enough differences, and I also felt like, and I was invested in the character enough where that didn't really bother me.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, I don't know. Maybe it is just because it has been so long since the last one that this one just really, the unnecessary nature of this film is really apparent.
It feels like it was just kind of like, well, I guess it's time to make a Bourne movie. You know?
Yeah, and like I said, like I brought up Star Wars, and technically that was an unnecessary movie. But yet that was made so well, and it felt like it really had a story to tell and a bigger story to set up with Episode 8 and 9. Yeah. That it didn't really feel pointless.
If that makes sense. It expands.
Yeah, it expands, and it, even though it did copy a lot of beats from Episode 4, it also introduced a lot of new elements. Yeah. So it was taking Star Wars from kind of being stagnant and kind of breathing new life into it. Yeah. This is taking, and that will carry on into the future. This Jason Bourne kind of felt like taking a series that was stagnant and breathing a little bit of life into it that lasted a movie. Yeah. But yet it didn't really expand the universe or like Episode 7 did.
The world of the Bourne movies are very claustrophobic in a lot of ways because they don't go anywhere outside of him. Really.
They don't lend them, and they also don't lend themselves to different types of stories like James Bond. I mean, James Bond, like, it's like, well, why is he going here and fighting these people? It's his job.
Yeah.
You don't have to come up with a more complex reason. It's his job.
Yeah, how many times can Bourne fight the CIA?
How many times can he fight the CIA and learn something connected to his past while taking on a corrupt...
aliens. That's the next
And then
one.
how did you feel about them killing off...
the girl?
I just had her name. Nikki Parsons.
Nikki Parsons.
I believe that's the character's name. I'm almost certain.
I mean, that's the thing. I guess I didn't care too much because, like, she felt like she was just kind of there, Yeah, she just was in the very beginning, and then she's dead,
Yeah,
and like moving on.
To me, it kind of felt like a repeat of Supremacy, where they kill off a female character who had been like a big part of the previous film.
Yeah.
Because Nikki Parsons was big in Supremacy and Ultimatum.
Mm.
But yet, the thing was with Supremacy, like, that's, like, we really saw a reaction from Bourne.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what sends him on his mission in the first place.
Yeah.
With this one, it's kind of like, oh, she's there, oh, she's dead, and I didn't really get a reaction from
he was just
Bourne.
kind of like...
He was just kind of like, oh.
Well, and that's the thing, I never really got the sense that they even really cared that much about each other as people.
And here's the thing, I really like character deaths, as weird as that is. Like, I think that character deaths can change the dynamic of a story, they can raise the stakes, they can offer redemption if, like, a character dies, making up for a mistake. There's a lot of different things that can be accomplished from a storytelling perspective with a character death while being emotionally impactful for the audience. But even though I'm an advocate of killing off characters in most cases, it always has to be appropriate. Like, I don't kill off characters just for the sake of killing off characters, or don't just do it because there has to be a reason, and if you're going to kill off a big character, make it feel like it has an impact.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know.
An emotional impact on the other characters or on the story or something, and with her it was just like, she starts the story, then it kills her off.
Yeah, so she was really there just to get the ball rolling.
I'm not sure, like, how, like, I don't hate it, it's not like Cyclops and X-Men: The Last Stand, where it's just like, that, I mean, like, that was not a big,
it was no big
deal. They treated it like it was nothing. They didn't make it have an impact on the story or the characters, really, and so and they didn't even bother to show it, so it wasn't
flashbacks.
So that was like a death that like, even though I like the idea of characters dying, it has to be in the right context, and that Cyclops' death was a good example of killing off a character in the wrong way, and so I really hate the way they did it in that. I don't hate it like this. I'm just kind of my reaction is kind of like Bourne's reaction, just kind of like,
Okay, and that's overall my whole feeling about this movie. Like I said, I didn't love it, or I think I said that. I don't know. Am I changing my opinion? Maybe. But I didn't love it, but it was just kind of there, It's like, it's a good Bourne movie.
It's there, and I like it, but I almost think it would have been better for the series if it didn't exist.
Exactly,
and also, it's not as good as the original 3.
No, it's like I said, if you're already a Bourne fan, you'll probably like the parts of this movie that remind you of the other movies, but other than that, when you just take a step back and kind of look at why it's there, it really does nothing for the story, for the overall story.
Yeah, and
so.
But how did you feel about the action? Because I thought the action was
that's
on
like that was one of the
par
things
with the other ones.
Like that, when it's just mindless action going on, like that's bringing you back to the old Bourne movies, and it's like you're not thinking about, well, why are we doing this again? It's kind of just
even like in the final third, like that. Whenever they're in Vegas, like, I thought that was like the best part of the movie for me, because it's where the tension for me worked the best. It's where we know all the characters' motivations. Bourne is trying to get definitive answers and avenge his father.
Yeah.
Dewey, Tommy Lee Jones's character, director Dewey, and the assassin and the asset, I should say, are trying to cover up their past while also go through with the plan to data mine and get information from people. And so it's kind of like that's whenever like all the character motivations are the clearest, and so like because I could understand in that moment, I could definitely understand Bourne, and that was probably whenever I could most identify with him.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was really invested in the action because I was like, he's going after the people who killed his father, and so that's a very human thing and a very understandable motivation.
Yeah, I don't know. I have kind of a low tolerance for some action. You know, just when it's just two guys fighting, I have a low tolerance for that. Also, for stuff like car chases, I'm not really a huge car chase fan, and I feel like this one went on a little too long for me.
I mean,
it did a lot of crazy things, you know, run into a casino and all that. But at the end, I was just like, okay, let's kind of wrap this up, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. I like car chases in general whenever they're done well, and the same thing with one-on-one hand-to-hand combat. And
yeah, so, I don't know. It just, like I said, it's just it does Bourne things. It's Paul Greengrass, so he's directing, just like Supremacy and Ultimatum, you know. So it's probably on par with that, I'd say, in the action department. But
I don't know. I think Ultimatum might have had a little bit better action.
They honestly kind of blend together for me, so I'm not able to
honestly, like, this is gonna sound really weird, but even though Bourne has some really good action scenes, that's not. It's kind of like you said; they kind of tend to blend together, and that's not really what I find myself remembering. It's really, honestly, I am invested in the story and characters whenever I watch these films.
Yeah, I don't watch very many action movies just for the sake of the action.
Yeah, I could.
Because it just gets boring.
Because anybody can, or almost anybody can make a halfway decent action film. Like, as far as the action is concerned. I mean, anybody can put explosions on the screen. Anybody can have one guy shooting a bunch of other guys. You know, that is what appealed to me the most, was the fact that there was a story and there were characters that I could get behind in the Jason Bourne franchise. So that's what drew me to the original trilogy and why I loved it.
Yeah. The original trilogy of the Bourne movies.
Yeah, it's weird that now I have to say that.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, I hope they don't make more unless they just do something awesome to finish the story.
Yeah, like I would be like I said, I kind of want them to do one more, but it's kind of like to give it a more.
It's kind of what I was hoping this movie would do. You know, put him in a place where it's like, okay, good, now let's be done.
Well, the thing is, I kind of felt like he was in that place because he'd finally accepted what he'd done, but yet he'd also kind of begun to move past it and atone for it by bringing it down. So I was kind of like, at the end of Ultimatum, okay, his character arc is complete.
Yeah.
But now it kind of like has introduced. It kind of like seemed like it started to introduce a new character arc.
Yeah.
But then it's like a character. If a character arc is supposed to do this, it kind of did. Right.
Yeah, like you couldn't quite get up the hill.
Yeah, like, and so that kind of bugs me that it was introduced a character arc and, like, you know, of him finding a new purpose, which I think is an interesting character arc.
Yeah.
But then, like I said, he found a purpose for a while, but what's to stop him from going back to feeling lost now that he's completely accomplished?
What's he gonna do? Just go back to street fighting in Greece or something?
Yeah, I mean.
Also, why Greece?
Because
also, what was that riot about in the beginning? Was that is that a real life thing or something? Were they like trying to say this is like the Grexit thing, you know? The Greece wanting to exit Europe.
I mean, there have been riots. I mean, there's been riots everywhere, but I don't know if that was supposed to be a specific riot or if that was just taking. Like,
it just seemed like, oh, okay, we're having a riot now, are we?
I kind of thought that was like an interesting backdrop for what the characters were doing, so I was totally down with that.
Yeah, all right.
You know, because it's something we haven't really seen, or I can't really think of a movie that was like set
a chase scene in a riot.
Yeah,
like, that was funny.
In quite that way. Like maybe like I've seen chase scenes in crowds, but I'm trying to think of one where it was like actually like a violent riot around the actual action and characters.
Yeah. Like, you know, the way they do the action is interesting in this movie, but it just kind of does what all the other Bourne movies did. So if you like that, you'll probably like this movie. So, and
but like I said, I love the original trilogy, but even for me, it's kind of wearing thin. And like I said, I always felt like Jason Bourne was, even if just a little bit, he was growing a little bit. Like he was, and not just like gaining more knowledge, because obviously he gains more knowledge in this movie.
Right.
But I felt like he was more as he was learning about his past. He felt guilty about his past, but he was also more and more finding ways to either try to make up for it to the best of his ability, or to begin to move past that. And with this one, like I said, it really, like, that. The more I talk about it, the more that does kind of bug me. Like, it's kind of something that was kind of like gnawing at the back of my mind, like during the movie. But now that I'm actually talking about it, it's like, that is a problem. That you know, he was in kind of a bad place mentally and emotionally at the beginning of the movie, and once the movie ends, I'm like, okay, what's to stop him from going back to that state? Yeah,
so I don't know, guys. In the end, it's just it's a good movie, but I wasn't crazy about it. You know, it's not a bad movie.
Yeah, like we've talked so much about how it's failings, but it actually is like a decent movie.
Yeah, it's just like a good action movie.
It's just like, what do you say? It's got the same thing. What's good about it is what's great about the other movies.
It's just, my main thing is just, I don't really think they needed to make it. You know, I don't really think it should exist. But it sounds like I hate it. I don't. It's fine. It's whatever.
No, I'm the same way, because, like I said, like, the story was done with Ultimatum.
Mm-hmm.
That finished everything off. That completed his character arc. The CIA's illegal Black Ops program was completely destroyed.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I have to start rethinking my ratings on these movies, because I have misstepped on several movies about whether I would go see them or not. I still think if I was put a Bourne gun to my head and, told to go watch this movie, I would still go see it again.
I stick with my thing where I'm like, I'm not going to be the one to say, hey guys, let's go see Bourne. Yeah. But if somebody's like, hey, do you want to go see, I'm going to go see Bourne, do you want to go see it with me? I'd be like, sure.
What if I said you want to go see it again?
Sure. But if I were to choose between movies that were in theaters right now, I'd choose Star Trek Beyond.
Yeah, definitely. That's such a good movie. I love that movie.
That's actually, like, even, like, that ended up being a lot better than I expected. And,
yeah, dude.
Like, really, I think the one thing I said that was, like, it really bothered me was the camera.
The shaky, yeah.
Which, like I said, in this movie doesn't really bother me, because it's utilized better in this movie.
Yeah. Man, Star Trek was good.
Yeah, so...
Anyways, Jason Bourne, I guess, so that's
we kind of had
to say about that.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that we both said we liked it, but then it's really hard for us to say what's good about it.
Yeah.
It's much easier to point out the flaws, but
it
really is, like, what was great in the first 3 movies is good in this one.
Pretty much, yeah. So...
And the music was also good.
Yeah. Extreme Ways by Moby, the real star in this movie. So yeah, alright guys, well, I guess that's about it for JB here. That brings us to our final segment, which is recommendations. So we do this every week where we both pick a thing, it could be anything, and we recommend it because we've been doing it or thinking about it lately, and I'll go ahead and go first with mine. I think it was last week I recommended Rick and Morty, which was a show I really like watching.
It's a great show.
It is really good. So I'm going to recommend another show that I really like, but it's actually a lot different. And I actually just saw it for the first time this week. It's a Netflix exclusive show called Stranger Things.
No spoilers, because I actually haven't seen it.
Right,
so
yeah. You would like it too. You would like it. Most people would like it. It's really cool.
I've heard good things.
I've heard it be explained as like what Super 8 kind of should have been, but really didn't. It kind of recaptures the feeling of old 80s sci-fi horror movies. Also, like the Goonies kind of. It's like the Goonies meets The Thing from Another World meets Halloween. It's a lot of crazy stuff. It's all 80s goodness if you like that kind of thing. And I have a really soft spot for 80s sci-fi and horror movies. It's really cool. It's really fun. But it's only 8 episodes long, so it's kind of like a mini-series. And I don't know if they're ever going to have another season or not. They leave it open for all kinds of stuff that could happen. But as it is, it's kind of like an extended movie. It's really good.
It's left open, but it doesn't like necessarily need something.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It could probably be fine where it is. But the Duffer Brothers are the guys who created and directed and wrote this whole show. They're awesome. I think this is the first thing I've seen them do. So, yeah, I think, go see it. Or, it's on Netflix, so just watch it. It's pretty cool. It's a good time. So, that's my recommendation.
Okay, so...
Yes.
I feel bad because I feel like I recommend a lot of video games, and
games.
I want to recommend like different categories, but of items, but
Pokemon Go.
But the thing is,
Yeah.
like, I've either already recommended like the show. I feel like I may have already recommended the shows I've been watching lately.
Oh yeah, I could tell.
Or maybe I'm wrong, but. And then, like, with what I've been reading, like, it's, like, not... It's, like, very... Not scholarly.
Scholarly.
Not scholarly.
Are you a scholar, Carson?
But I've been reading books about the creation of work and development of the works of my favorite authors.
Let's just come out and say it. He's reading about Tolkien. He's reading about Tolkien.
No, I'm reading about, like, how he developed his works.
Yeah.
And so that's not, like, something that, like, the general people are going to find interesting, so I don't
I find interesting.
So I don't want to recommend that, and so the only thing that I've been doing recently that I feel like I can recommend is video games. And the game that I've been playing recently is Batman Arkham Knight.
Are you playing through it again?
Yeah. I love the entire Batman Arkham series, even Origins. I think Origins is the weakest one, but I still love it. And so I'm going to recommend the Arkham series.
I still have yet to... The whole series or just Knight?
I'm going to recommend the whole series, because the whole series is great.
Yeah, I still have yet to play through Arkham Knight. I didn't play Arkham Origins either, so... I haven't played
Arkham
Origins
was really glitchy.
Oh,
and
really?
It was definitely the weakest one, but
Well,
I still feel that it was a solid game, and like if you were to take away the other Arkham games, it would be the best Batman game ever made.
Well, yeah.
It's just like its flaws are the glitches, or it has the problem of glitches, but then its flaws are only apparent to me because of the other games. If that makes sense. Like I doubt that I'd notice a lot of the flaws if I hadn't played the other games.
Are they going to make a sequel to Knight, or did that?
You need to see the ending too.
Okay,
so like I can't discuss it.
You don't think they're going to like leave it open for something?
They do leave it open for something, but I can't. But I don't think they're going to do.
Well, like, have you heard anything about that happening?
No, and I don't think they're going to. But
I don't think so either. Yeah.
Wait, do you know how it ends?
No, but
okay,
I'm just assuming they wouldn't, because they said they were kind of selling it as like, the end to the trilogy. So.
Yeah, it definitely does feel like it could be an end.
Yeah,
I actually think it is the end of.
I would like to see an Arkham style game for literally any other comic book character, because it would be awesome to see like another DC character. Maybe even in the Arkham universe, but like doing a completely different thing, like a different. Like, I don't know, like Blue Beetle Asylum or something, something cool like that. I know they're not going to do that, but I just think it would be cool.
No, I'm like trying to figure out...
Enough of Batman already.
You take that back, you heathen. But no, I was more caught up on the fact that you said Blue Beetle Asylum, and I'm like, well, it's not Batman Asylum. It's not going to be called Blue Beetle Asylum. Even if it's a Blue Beetle story taking place in an asylum, the asylum isn't going to be called Blue Beetle.
Dude, a Green Lantern movie? Or Green Lantern video game?
Oh, we got one of those, buddy. And let me tell you.
Shut up! I hate that.
Did not turn out as well as people hope.
Like an Arkham-style Green Lantern game where you go like from different planets and stuff. That would be cool.
That could be cool, but I'm wondering how well the Arkham formula would translate to characters with powers, as opposed to, or at least with more outlandish powers like Green Arrow or Superman.
I guess
like,
what I
feel
want
like
is
it works better with characters like Batman or Green Arrow or Daredevil.
Green Arrow, they could do Green Arrow Asylum.
I know that Daredevil isn't DC, but that's just another example of like one that I think the formula would work with.
I just feel like DC neglects so many characters and just focuses on Batman way too much.
I love Batman, and Batman's my favorite. DC does do that, but
But you don't care because you love.
Well,
Batman.
no, I mean, I would like. It's more like I want Batman out of the spotlight less, and more that I want other characters to share it with him. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, I don't want Batman to like be treated with less respect. I want the other characters to be treated with more respect.
Yeah, and I like Batman too. It's just I have strong feelings. But if I get off on a Batman tangent, we'll be here all day.
We've already gone on a tangent, so I'm going to continue the tangent. The thing is, Batman is the only thing that they've been able to fairly reliably put forth solid products. Like, because almost every time that they try to shove a new character to the spotlight, something goes wrong, and it doesn't end up getting good reviews or being thought of well. Like the Green Lantern movie, like I kind of saw that as like their attempt to bring a different DC character other than Batman and Superman to like the public, and
I just think that's because they haven't tried enough. They haven't tried. They've just stayed way too close to Batman and Superman for decades.
Well, now they're going to try it, but I also don't have. I feel like it's going to be the same thing, where it's going to be. I mean, even though the Wonder Woman trailer looked really good, I'm still nervous because it's connected to the DC.
Yeah, and Suicide Squad, even that movie can't not have Batman in it. I don't know.
I actually think that if they use Batman well in that one, it could actually be really cool, like how they use him. If he's used sparingly.
Yeah, Batman's cool, and everybody loves him, and he's the greatest. And
well, this has been the Mordorks. Jason Bourne, you've heard our rambling thoughts. Now you can decide for yourself if you want to see it or not.
See you guys.
You guys are strong, independent viewers who don't need no reviewers to tell you if you need to see a movie.
Hey, keep subscribing. That was pretty cool. We got a few new ones this week, so we were all about that.